in the morning, heart of South Philly. Let's go see what the people have got to say. I'm ready to roll if they need me.
Now listen here, Dutch. Mets and the Cowboys, they suck.
1, 2, 3, go Birds! Go Birds! What we got? 302BIRDS, Gino Stinks. Go Birds! Oh my gosh, chat.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.
Get your water ice and soft pretzels ready because you are now tuned into a 302 Birds podcast experience. Proudly presented by TickPick, Nick's Pizza, El Diablo Burritos, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street. Let's take it to the show.
Good afternoon, and I want to welcome you guys to a new experience for 302 Birds from the creative minds of 302 Birds. We are bringing in a fantasy football show, and we have an amazing host for you guys, somebody that's been familiar with the network, a fan favorite. I want to welcome Dennis, your guys' host of the show. Mr. Dennis, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, bro, I'm great. I'm ready to talk some fantasy football. So if you guys don't know, all season long, Dennis is going to be hosting the 302 Fantasy Show, taking that bull by the fucking horns and throwing that bitch over the fucking gate, just like a Dallas Cowboy. But in all seriousness, we're really excited to do the show for you guys. We're going to have a ton of people popping in and out on here. If you guys have any questions or want any of us to look at your team, we actually have a Discord server that I created a channel for today in the server that's just fantasy football questions. So you can send screenshots of your team, all that fun stuff to Dennis. He's going to be your expert all season long. But without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Our first topic of the day, and Dennis, I'll let you go ahead and take it first. It's your show, fan question, sorry, is going to be our startums and situms for tomorrow. Who are some of yours?
So start me. I'm kind of all over the place because I've been trying to watch the injuries all through the preseason. People recovering from last year's injuries. There's still a lot that we have to really take note of and watch at this point. So starting quarterback wise, so what I'll do is I'm going to give you a start and then I'm going to give you a sit of who you think you should go with. Right now, I'm definitely thinking quarterback wise, you should probably start Tua. Sit would be Justin Herbert. Tua is going to be hot. He's still got Tyreek Hill. He's still got a bunch of other targets. They've really kind of invested in some other threats this offseason. The reason I'm saying sit Herbert, we don't know. He says the foot's 100%, but again, how do we really know if he's 100%? It could take one little thing to aggravate it, and it'd be bad, and we just don't know where it's going to be at. Running back wise, I've got start Bijan Robinson, sit DeAndre Swift. The Chicago Bears offensive line is not built for run blocking just yet. I think that's going to be a midseason form for Swift to come out and really open up. Wide receiver wise, of course, start Tyreek Hill. Try to double it up to where you have Tua and Tyreek, so that way you get the combination points. I would sit Christian Kirk because, again, there's a lot of uncertainties down there with him. I can't go deep into it yet just because I don't have all the details on Christian Kirk of why I would say sit him. But there's just a few things sitting in there with the rookie coming in. The other wide receiver I would say to start, Delaware's own Middletown graduate, Chris Godwin. Would definitely make sure you keep him in. Played football against him. Scary dude. I would never want to play football against him. That's why I'm 300 pounds and fat now. The other person I would sit is Olave. Would not start Olave.
Wait, why not Olave? Can you go a little bit more into detail on that one? Because we had somebody today actually asking about him on the chat before the show.
Let me get back to the page I was on because I had a page pulled up covering him, and somebody had him. Where's it at?
Oh, good. No worries.
There it is. What they're saying is he does have a lingering ankle, but they're not saying it's drastic to the point that it's being reported as questionable. But it's a possibility of limited snaps or a limited amount of targets. So if you're willing to be able to give up some of those points that you want, you know what I mean, to understand like, hey, I got to go with somebody else because he might not get the targets, and it's just kind of an injury thing. Play it safe. Don't cut my head off. It's whatever you guys want. It's just an idea. I like injury wise, I went on a whim and going with Njoku with Cleveland. Like Njoku's always a sleeper. You never know what you're going to get. He's got injuries that are built up on him as well, but he's healing up. They say he's about 95%. Could be good to go by Sunday. So for tomorrow, he should be good to go. And he shouldn't really have a tough matchup. Should be pretty easy for him to get loose and get around the linebackers. And everybody knows he's dangerous on a post route, especially a corner route. So we'll see where he goes with that. Laporta, I'm just not a big fan of Laporta. I don't think that he's going to deliver the way he needs to. And that's my 5 start 'em and sit 'ems. Dalton, where are you at with it? Who do you have?
I like that list a lot. Thank you, Dennis. So I brought 3, and then off on a whim, I'm going to go with another 2 because these are actually mine and I want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper. They're sponsoring us all season long. They are the best place to play fantasy football. It's fun to play fantasy football with Sleeper. That's literally the only advertising I think I can say because everybody that knows what Sleeper is knows exactly why I'm saying that. It sells itself. It's an amazing app. Josh Allen, though. I really think he's somebody that you have to almost start. Going against the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, we're going to fucking gut him. You know, Mr. Gannon. I think that Josh Allen is going to end up connecting with every which one of his receivers. I know Budda Baker's still there, but I just feel like the Cardinals are going to have a shitty start to the season. I don't know how it's going to go throughout the year for them. I don't think that they're going to be the best team overall. Of course, I'm a little bit biased. I'm an Eagles fan. But I think that Josh Allen and the Bills are going to have a decent start to the season, and then they're going to fall off towards the end. I don't think that they're going to be the Bills that we've known the past couple of years with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis both leaving. It's going to be tougher for them. Now, they also got that guy, Keelan, I forget his last name.
Washington.
Yeah, and he's going to be good. The guy in the yellow coat who has
he's
such
a sleeper.
personality. Yeah, he's a sleeper, but we haven't seen it yet. So I will say it also, if you have Dawson Knox, the tight end for the Bills, he might be a really good, reliable option with Josh Allen just having familiarity with him. He's probably going to be relied on a lot. But I do think that Josh Allen is going to have a decent game tomorrow because the Cardinals are not that good, in my opinion. Another 2 guys I got. So headed down to Tampa Bay for my stardoms. I really think these are my must stardoms. So if I had to give you a lock or anything like that, these are them for me. And that would be Baker Mayfield, Baker Midfield, and Mike Evans. Look, it sucks for an Eagles fan to give the Buccaneers credit. What's going on, Jordan? How you doing? Jack, if you want to come in on this show, come hang out, man. You're more than welcome, Mr. Fantasy Expert. We would love to have you. But yeah, man, I think Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, I think, are going to have a decent game. They're going against Washington, the Commanders. The Commanders are just a dumpster fire this year. Not that they aren't every year, but this year specifically, I think that it's going to be a rude awakening game for Jaden Daniels. I think that the defense is going to give up early, and I could see it being a 3 or 4 touchdown game for Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans having 2 of them, maybe like 120, 130 yards. And if you're in a PPR league and he gets like 7 or 8, 9 receptions after that, woo, you're going to be cooking. I also had Jamar Chase, but the problem with Jamar is his whole contract situation. I don't like that. That's a whole story for another day. We can get into that a little bit later into the show too. But he's somebody that I would start as well. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals are going against the New England Patriots, and we saw what we did to Christian Gonzalez in the preseason. I think Jamar Chase is going to have a heyday with that cornerback for the Patriots. And I think that the Patriots aren't going to be as good as people think that they are this year either. It sucks because now that the Patriots have lost Tom Brady too, I almost have a sweet spot for him. It's like the underdog teams. I don't know, Dennis. I don't know if you're the same way. I almost root for him. So we'll see. And you have a visit comments too. I don't know. Fucking asshole. I am with on the Sidney Brown train too, but hey, it's nice to see Blankenship play well. If Dennis is
Let's do this.
well,
You want to get into the Blankenship thing? Let's do it because
Let's do
technically there's people that can pick defensive players. Here's why. This is why you don't pick Reed Blankenship, and I'll even say his name correctly to be professional. Reed is ultimately a good player. I will not disagree that. I will not take that away from the kid. The interception last night, I said it in the breakdown on the Countrywide Eagles podcast group and in the Countrywide Tailgate Mafia group. Let's get to the point of this. The interception that he had last night was the same type of interception that he had on Aaron Rodgers when C.J. Gardner-Johnson went out 2 years ago. That is why he was signed as an undrafted free agent or drafted, whatever you want to call it. Whatever. But yes, all players make mistakes, but this kid is now a third-year player who's still making rookie mistakes. We're still seeing him make tackles like this or the reach. Like, you can't do that. He ran into his own player last night and almost cost us more yards. Ultimately, Reed is a good player. I do not disagree that. I'm a person that played the position, so I look at the position way more in depth, and I care about it too much sometimes. So, again, I get deep in it, and it pisses me off when somebody screws up. Everybody gets mad at something like that. So, ultimately, and Dalton, quote me on this, make a clip of it, ultimately, he is a good player, but he makes mistakes that are a liability. For the same reason that I say about Avonte Maddox. He is not meant to be a corner in the NFL. He's good when he needs to make a play, but then he gets hurt or they find his weakness and they pick on him. That's all I say.
No, that's not wrong. And I think that's partly why I also had beef with Reed Blankenship. And like I said with the apology form, you hit the nail on the head. Safety is, I never played football. Look at me. I mean, got to keep these bad boys, number one. But number two, I'm about $110 soaking wet. But if I were to ever play football, I probably would have loved to play safety. That was my favorite position to play Madden, just reading the QB. I think it's relaxing back there. Not relaxing, but I mean, for the most part.
You have to work for it. And there's more into it than just sitting back there. It's more reading.
And you also have to execute in those moments that's what it is. It's when you're in that moment, you got to be able to execute. You know what I mean? And if you don't, like he sometimes doesn't, people like you and me are going to remember that. Even in your good moments, we're going to remember your bad. But even here's maybe the flip side of it. Maybe even in his bad, now we have to remember his good, because that was a good pick last night. I mean, we do give the guy credit.
I'm not disagreeing, because it's like I said, it's the same kind of pick that he had on Aaron Rodgers. Shout out to that Corvette guy who wanted to say that the Eagles weren't going to win yesterday. Hey, buddy. Just letting you know, this is the same team that took Aaron Rodgers out of the game because he didn't want to play no more, so he left in the third quarter. We sent you back to Green Bay with a loss. Sorry for what it is, man. Your team just didn't step up. I told you. We told
you. Oh, my God. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, hey, let's keep it rolling. So now moving into some of my sit-ups. So real quick. Jaden Daniels from the Commanders. Obviously, I'm sitting in a green room. Of course, I'm going to fucking say fuck the Commanders. But in all seriousness, the Bucs have a really good defense. They have a good secondary. And I just think that when he plays the Commanders, it's going to be one of those welcome to the NFL moments, if you guys know what I'm saying. Money Bentley, what's going on? Thank you for joining. My second sit-em that I actually have George Kittle. They're going against the Jets. Same if you have Christian McCaffrey. I know that may not be the most popular opinion. The Niners have a lethal offense. Look, the Jets defense is underrated. I know Hassan Reddick is holding out. Him and Howie have some kind of a secret agreement where he's going to come back. Shh, get ready. No, in all seriousness, the Jets had a decent defense last year. I know Bryce Huff was there, but there were still other guys that played well. And they also have a pretty good secondary, being Sauce Gardner and some other guys. So I would not start. And they do put Sauce on tight ends a lot too. So I wouldn't be shocked if they have Sauce go on Kittle, Debo, all of the above. And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat, because that's our next topic is fan questions. What you guys have, let us know. Stardoms, sit-ems. If you guys are struggling between anybody, I have one question from my barber that I'll get to in a minute. And last but not least, I got Michael Pittman. from the Colts. I like Pittman a lot, but they're going against the Texans. The Texans are juiced right now, man. They are a good team. They just got Stephon Diggs. Even though they're away, I think that they're going to win that game. And I think that the Colts are going to rely a lot on the run game at home. So I think Jonathan Taylor, if anybody in that offense is going to pop off, it's going to be Anthony Richardson in rushing yards or Jonathan Taylor. I don't see Michael Pittman getting more than 50 yards, 60 yards. I could be wrong. And maybe a touchdown if you get lucky. But I would sit him this week too. And that's fine.
For that game, though, as a sleeper, and I don't mean cut you off, Dalton.
No, you're good, dude. I was finished.
The other one that I would touch on, and he could be a sleeper for the Texans, I would not sleep on Tank Dell. I would not. That man's coming off that injury, and he's gonna be hungry. CJ Stroud is on another level. Definitely one to watch. Jaden Daniels, the only thing that might save him with this Washington game is his legs and his IQ because he is smart. But keep an eye on those two. I'm telling you, if you can get a chance to pick up Tank Dell, don't do it. Don't let him sit.
I like that take, dude. I like that a lot. Tank Dell is an underrated player. And he's tough too. And I think I saw a take on Instagram that his real name is Nathaniel or something, or Nathan. Mm-hmm. And somebody asked him, and they're like, "Why don't you?" And he's like, "Man, would you like if your name was that?" And it was really funny. And it was funny. He's got a good sense of humor.
Nathan Dell.
Nathan Dell.
That don't even sound cool.
Tank though. Tank goes hard.
God, man.
Jack out here busting my ball. Shout out to my barber for real, though. I only said it like 15 times yesterday, but shout out to Dylan getting me right, getting that mop chopped off my head from Golden's Barber Shop. Yeah, but speaking of my barber, Dylan, so he actually asked me a good question. I'll ask you. Now it's over, so now we'll see the results, but tell me what you think is going to happen. He asked me, would you rather start Jake Ferguson from the bias aside, Jake Ferguson from the Cowboys going against the Browns. Dak Prescott, a lot of pressure this year. Going to rely on his tight end, I think. 4:20 tomorrow is when I think that they play. Or Dallas Goedert last night. I don't think Goddard had any touchdowns. I don't know about receiving yards. He probably had about 50. Who would you start? Ferguson is still projected 10.4 points last time I checked. Bias aside, do you think Ferguson will get more than 5 points now? Because that's what he's got to beat with Dallas Goedert.
It depends on what kind of defense comes out. It's hard to not be biased when it's the Cowboys, bro.
Yeah, right?
It's like a sin, dude. It's like a freaking sin.
Come on, Dennis, don't let it blind you.
I honestly, after how last night went, I'd definitely say probably put Ferguson in because they're gonna need weapons. So I would definitely go with Ferguson probably. And I hate saying it, but
yeah, I hated saying it too yesterday. But I just think all the pressure that Dak has on him, it's gonna make it hard for Cowboys fans. So we'll see. First question of the day. Ramiro, thank you for coming out here. We appreciate you. Like I said, get these questions rolling in the chat, guys. If you're out here watching, for a fucking reason. So get what you're paying for, goddammit. Get us working, goddammit. Dennis and I are working for you guys right now. 10 men, PPR, double flex, QB Burrow, running back Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, Tank Dell. We were just talking about him. Ingram is going to be a little bit underrated. Bench Trevor Lawrence, that's good. Aaron Jones, that's great. Ozune, yep, that's pretty good. Coleman, yep, likely Woody. I think that this is a great team for 10 people. I think that this is a second or third place team at worst, in my opinion. What are you thinking?
I wouldn't have Ingram in there. I mean, now that Jacksonville's starting to get more threats, I think he's going to see limited touches. They have the rookie. Gabe Davis is down there, I think, isn't he? Or is he with Miami? I can't remember. But Trevor Lawrence has got more weapons that he can throw to now.
No, he did go to Jacksonville. You're right. Yep.
So now that Trevor Lawrence has more weapons, I wouldn't bench Trevor if you're going to have Ingram in there because you could use that to double up. But that's ultimately your call. But I wouldn't take Ingram. That's just me. He's not produced enough in the last year for me to be comfortable. So that's my take. Other than that, it's solid. You got a winning thing with Devontae. You got a winning thing with Tyreek. DJ, it's on him to show up. Tank Dell, it's on him to show up. Burrow, he's got a lot to prove after being hit with the injury bug the last season and the season before. Josh Jacobs, he delivered last night. Rashid White, you're solid. That's my take.
Yeah, I like this team. If you had to rate this team real quick, Dennis, scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving this team?
An 8, 7.5 to an 8.
You think that low? See, I would go a little bit better. I'll give it an 8.5 or a 9. I think that this is 10 people. So if you got Burrow, Jacobs, Tyreek, Devontae, Tank, Ozune and Aaron Jones are going to both be, I think, sleeper picks. I think Ozune is going to benefit off Caleb Williams later in the season when he figures out how the world and the league work. And then Aaron Jones, I think, is going to have a real chip on his shoulder this year in Minnesota.
Burrow and Ingram are questionable for me. That's just...
Why is Burrow questionable for you?
Just the injuries, man. He can't stay healthy. Look, Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. It's that simple. He is who he is. He did very well at LSU. I like the kid. I think he's got a good mentality. I think he's smart for the game of football. But ultimately, if you can't stay healthy in this league, it don't do you no good. What did we all say about Carson Wentz in the 2017-18 season when we won the Super Bowl? The guy was cloud 9 MVP all the way around, and we were on a run. And then you play the Rams, and he tears an ACL and an MCL, and then you're backwards 6 years, and then whatchamacallit? He gets rushed back the next season, and he gets a fracture in his back, and he's not the Carson Wentz we knew. It's just one of them things, man. He's got to prove that he can stay healthy. If Joe Burrow can make it 14 games through the season with no injuries, I will change my mind of Joe Burrow. But right now, it is not a trustworthy pick.
I'll play devil's advocate on that one. In this show, we got to have a good cop and we got to have a bad cop. I'm an LSU fan. Joe Burrow has had his back against the wall ever since college. So I will say this will be Joe Burrow's year that he will lose to the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. But he'll have a good year, I think. I do think that if Jamar Chase can get that contract, that's the biggest thing, I think, in the way for Burrow. And if your team, has that, the biggest thing in the way for you right now is that contract situation with Jamar Chase. So hopefully they figure it out. Carlos, Bob, I appreciate you in here asking another question. Alvin Kamara, like I said, guys, ask your questions in the chat. Dennis and I are working for you. Alvin Kamara or Kenneth Walker this week in PPR? What are you thinking, Dennis?
Kamara.
Why so?
I think Thomas is out week 1 for the disorderly conduct thing. He's got that 1-game suspension, I believe is what it is. Mm-hmm. They're still very uncertain at quarterback. I don't know if they're set on Derek Carr or they're going with the other guy. Without Thomas, the pass game is kind of up in the air. So I'm definitely going to lean towards Kamara with the run game. Who are they playing this week?
They're playing the Panthers
today. Oh, they're going to run all over the Panthers. Panthers don't have a defensive threat, really. That's Kamara.
I had him in my must starts this week too for sleeper. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, I mean Kamara should dominate. Right now he's projected at 57 yards and 0.3 on a touchdown. So, and with 180 attempts last year, he did fight the injury bug. He still had 694 yards and 5 touchdowns. Yeah, I'm not sleeping on Kamara whatsoever.
I love that take. Dennis took the words right out of my mouth, so that's your answer, Carlos. Bob. Carlos, ask some more questions in the chat, man. I love it. Like I said, Ramiro, let's get you back in here too. Connor, appreciate you as well. Christian Kirk or Ford full? Who are you thinking full PPR?
I had Kirk being sit just because of all the stuff going on down there with the quarterbacks and all the other people. But if you're going to go solid and that's what you want to do, out of him and Ford, you can't go wrong with Christian Kirk, especially with Trevor Lawrence being healthy. They did bolster the offensive line, so I think you have a solid thing there with that. So I would definitely go with Christian Kirk. The offensive line's been bolstered. Trevor Lawrence is getting more comfortable again. There's a lot of threats there, so it could take the targets off of Kirk. Like, they won't have to double cover him. It won't be a lot of looks in his direction because now you have Gabe Davis down there along with that rookie. And the rookie's speed and his hands, he's almost like he's been compared to A.J. Brown with the hands, where he's got really strong hands, really good to grab the ball, and just really good IQ to get to the outside. So if he takes that attention away, I'm definitely going Christian Kirk over Ford.
Yeah, I like Ford just because I think traditionally in a PPR, most people say, oh, take running back because, running back should traditionally at least get you 15, 20 points on attempts compared to maybe like 7 or 8 points. But I like the Christian Kirk take a lot. I think Christian Kirk has been somebody that Trevor Lawrence last year showed it can rely on. A lot of people busted Christian Kirk's balls, and I was one of the included when he got that contract with the Jaguars. But he's been that guy for the Jaguars. Not that guy that he can be, but I think he's going to keep leveling up. He wasn't bad, that's for sure. So I would say take Kirk, but take Kirk with the idea that you're going to get a bigger boom or bust. So you're either going to get a 25, 30-point game from Kirk, I feel like, 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 touchdown, like 130, 120 yards, or you're going to get like a game where he has like 30 and 3 receptions, and Ford maybe is going to get you somewhere in the ballpark, I feel, comfortably like 10 to 25. So I don't know. I like Ford going against that Dallas defense too. I think that the Dallas defense isn't as good as it was last year. Of course, Micah Parsons is still there, but they have some injuries. So I would not hate that too. But I also have a bias. Carlos, also no problem, man. Like I said earlier, if you haven't, please drop a sub. All those little things really help us out. Unless anybody has any more questions, I mean, we'll wrap up here soon in a second. But Dennis, did you have anybody else that you're keeping an eye on? Or I don't even know.
James Conner.
Huh?
You can't sleep on James Conner, dude. Like, you can't.
Arizona running back?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that take either. That's a good one as well. I think the Bills defense, they don't have the best run defense too. So I think that could be a great call. I don't know if we did this yet. I think I forgot to skip this. So on our way out of here, and if you guys have any more questions, like I said, we'll answer them as we file out of here. But any waiver wire targets for you, or anybody that you had that anybody could grab last minute if they're in a bigger league?
Sleeper wise, don't sleep on Fairmouth from Pittsburgh at the tight end position. Taysom Hill, you don't want to sleep on him because he's always capable of something. And then another one, a lot of people don't really think he's going to be a big deal. He only had 19 receptions in 2023. Trey Tucker out of the Raiders. He's a good sleeper to keep an eye on.
Okay. Yeah, I had actually the guy that's on here who torched our Eagles last night. Jaden Reed. I mean, 138 yards, 4 receptions. I know it burns. It burns. It's like, the light, like Eagles fans hearing his name the next day. But at least we won. It's over. It's over now. So we don't got to see him for a little bit. But he's going to be a guy, I think, that whoever that Green Bay quarterback is this year is going to utilize. I think Christian Watson for a quarterback isn't as reliable. Watson is more of a deep threat. And I love Watson. I was a fan of him at NDSU, I guess. But my biggest thing with him is you can't drop them when they're in your hands. And he had a lot of that last year. So I think that Reed could be, and Reed was like, that juke that he had on CJ, it was like, God, like, you want to come play over here? We got a wide receiver spot. Like, and we really don't, but
we'll give you Kenny Pickett. We'll give you Kenny Pickett for Jaden Reed, bro. You need a quarterback.
Hey, I'll say this. That kid, he's going to be somebody this year that, I'll give them Kenny Pickett for him, like you said, because he's going to be somebody this year, I think, that upsets a lot of people that go against him that week in fantasy, because God damn, he was good.
The only thing I'm going to say is one more. I just want to give a shout out to Sleeper again. Thank you for sponsoring us. Appreciate everybody that's come through today. I am Jumper said Mahomes, Barkley, AJ Brown, Elliott.
Yeah, we can answer this on our way out too. And if anybody has any more, your last chance right now. So put them in the chat. I'll give you guys one more minute.
You can't go wrong with any of those. If you have those, granted, some of them have already played this week. You can't go wrong with any of those players. Jumper, definitely tune in next week when we go live on Saturday again at 1:30. But definitely, you can't go wrong with those players, especially after how everything's shaped up. Just to touch on the A.J. Brown Barkley type of deal, you already see what happens, and I said it in our group chat last night, and Dalton can vouch for it because he's in there. Philadelphia did it just like this. Chip, 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 boom. One big play, come right out of halftime, 67-yard bomb right to A.J. Brown. It's chip plays. When you do things like that, it adds up. That's why you're good there. Mahomes, you already know what you're getting with Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get Mahomes magic. You're going to get the referees giving him flags because he's the poster boy now because Brady's gone. Sorry. Elliott, you're back and forth. Caleb Williams, the kid's a stud in college. We don't know if he's going to be a stud in the NFL, but he does have the weapons to throw to. It's just up to his offensive line to stay healthy. So I think you're good on that note.
I like this team a lot too. I think Mahomes, any team with Mahomes, like you see a lot of people start taking quarterback now because some of these QBs are that good that they deserve and are justified. Like if you have the 10th or 11th pick in a 16-man league like our league, it makes sense a lot of times. So Barkley, A.J. Brown, Elliott, let us know on the way out, Jumper. I'm curious how many people are in your league too. You might have said it earlier in the comments. I'll have to look. I think you might have mentioned it, but I'll try to look in a minute. But I mean, yeah, let us know.
There's 10 teams in the league I'm in, and I'm only in one. And for however I landed, Jalen Hurts, James Conner, DeAndre Swift, Keon Coleman, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Chris Godwin, Gabe Davis, Njoku, and I still have Sutton on there too. Like, and Thomas, the rookie for Jacksonville, and Baker Mayfield. Like, dude, I landed 2 number 1 receivers and a solid number 2 in Chris Godwin. For however I managed that, God help me.
Hey, dude, that's a great fucking team. And moreover, God bless everybody else in your league for having to go against that. But, Dennis, I don't know if you have anything else before we wrap up or hop out of here.
Go Birds. Thanks for being here for our first show. Thank you to 302 for giving me a chance at another podcast and a new adventure. We haven't touched on it yet, but we're getting close. Week 2, Lincoln Financial Field. Of course, we already know who's playing. The man is back with running tailgates. 302 is going to now get the step up. A lot of big things planned for you guys. If you're coming to the link or you're interested in coming to the link, Lot D, we'll have more details later through the week. Again, Dalton, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to Sleeper. Thank you all for tuning in. Go Birds. Sidney Brown is still better than Reed Blankenship.
I love it. Yeah, thank you to Sleeper. Like Dennis said, I really appreciate you showing the love. And Dennis, I just want to say to you too, man, thank you. We appreciate the commitment. You know, you show up, you deliver, you have that personality. And I think it's going to be a beautiful thing all season long between this fantasy football show, the tailgates. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So like Dennis said, be sure to follow us on Instagram. Be sure to follow Dennis on Instagram at 302birds, at Dennis302fantasy. And we'll be here all year long, bringing you guys that fire, that energy. As always, God bless, go Birds, and have a great one.
What we got? 302 birds. You know, stinks.